Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR. What movie could have been over in 10 minutes if the main character wasn't such a fool? Don't swim to the drop-off, Nemo. Okay, Dad. Credits. But then we would have never seen him touch that butt. That was the most predictable reaction for a kid his age, though. Marlin shouldn't have put him down in front of his new friends and been so rude about his fin. That should have been a private conversation. Exactly. Nemo was always going to swim off because Marlin was overprotective for his entire life, and putting him down, when he wasn't otherwise going to swim out, was the final straw. Conversely, Marlin was always going to do that because he lost his wife and kids to the barracuda and wanted to protect his only remaining son. What I'm saying is free will doesn't exist. But seriously, this question sometimes misses the fact that characters' actions, though sometimes stupid, may be consistent with who the characters are. I just want to thank you for bringing up that last part. So many times I read, not hear anything, that stories or characters are ruined by poor writing when it's legit, just as you said, characters being themselves. No, would just lead to a different kind of film where an angsty child rebels in a different way, paints himself black with squid ink, acts depressed and listens to bands like My Nautical Romance and Fall Out Boy. I present to you Nemo the Emo. Finding Emo. When I was a young fish, my father took me into the reef to see a coelacanth. He said, "Son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the dolphins, the barnacles, and the clams?" Quote. He said, "Will you defleet them, your seamen and all the non-gill breathers, the planks that they have made? Because one day, I'll leave you a tetra, to lead you in the water to join the rack parade." If Mr. and Mrs. Bueller were anything like my parents, the movie would have been called Ferris Bueller's Day at School. If they were anything like my parents, they would have called my bluff, taken me to the doctor's office, and found out, to my own surprise as well, that I had bronchitis. That's how they found a nasty cyst in me once. I was like, "I feel lethargic and awful. I'll tell Mom my stomach feels churning and gross," which was unusual. I always missed school for puking and not just pain. So my mom called the nurse hotline. The nurse told my mom to jab me in the stomach until one of the places hurt worse than the others. It hurt worse near my appendix, so they did an ultrasound. Ultrasound revealed I have a tiny but healthy appendix, and a serious number of ovarian cysts. So now I don't second guess that. Is this sick? Do I feel sick? Feeling. If my body is saying, "Bad news bears," when I wake up, a lot of the time it's right. Edit. If you're coming in here just to pity party about how you can't tell the difference between real sick and just uncomfortable, and I'm somehow lucky for being able to do the basic skill of, is this feeling new or not new? This isn't the comment to do it on. I get nauseated in the morning. I have paranoia when I don't take my antipsychotic. I'm just like you. Stop. This past New Year's I didn't have any days off left, so I decided to call in sick so I could party for night. Sick days are paid if I get a doctor's note. Woke up New Year's Day hungover as all hell. Worse than I have ever been. I'm talking body feels as feeble as a 12-year-old girl. Whatever. Go into the local urgent care to get a doctor's note. Described my current symptoms. Feeling sweaty and weak. Turns out I had influenza B. Got to miss the entire rest of the work week. Cars. If Lightning McQueen listened to his crew and changed his tires as ordered, he could have won the race. But then he wouldn't have gotten lost in some dinky forgotten town, get involved in some wacky hijinks, and meet the colorful cast of tropes, stereotypes to teach Lightning McQueen and the audience the value of selling toys friendship and humbleness. Edit. Spelling. Or if he'd have let Matt go to bed, maybe the back hatch wouldn't have been opened, unchecked, etc. Or if he hadn't have been speeding like the little daredevil he is, he might have gotten to the second race, maybe knowing this time why tires are important. Or if the cars weren't even cars. Look, Cars to me falls under Belisario's principle: some movies don't have to make sense to be enjoyable. I think it makes sense. It's just that the main character is an arrogant buffoon. It's the entire point of the movie, to force him into a sink or swim situation where he must grow. Edit. This whole thing has caused me to want to rewatch the entire series. Goodbye. 6 hours of my life. Jurassic Park if Hammond actually spared no expense. Don't stiff your IT guys. Also don't put all your IT into one guy basket. Hammond spared no expense. 15 minutes later, I told you how many times we needed locking mechanisms on vehicle doors. How the frick do you have a T-Rex but not locks on the car doors? Because they can't reach the door handles with their tiny arms. It's a real B-word for them to adjust the mirrors too. Aladdin. If Jafar would have just paid Aladdin what he promised him instead of betraying him at the cave, he would have had the lamp and become king, be mighty powerful. Aladdin just wanted his money in return for the lamp. Something else that has always bothered me is that if Jafar can take the lamp and get 3 wishes before it is returned to Aladdin, it would seem like Aladdin could have let Jasmine have 3 wishes before setting the genie free. She could have ended poverty and made sure Agrabah's harvests were always bountiful. For real, it's not like Aladdin would have been able to do anything about Jafar using the lamp. Right, but no, Jafar is the basest sort of villain. He's a lowly troll. He simply cannot resist an opportunity to screw someone over for his own sadistic amusement. Even when it is directly counterproductive, he wasted time trying to get Aladdin to give up his only leverage when he could have just pulled the man up and completed the deal. I guess you could argue that Jafar didn't want any witnesses. But A, he was wearing a disguise and Aladdin didn't know who he was. B, who the frick would have believed Aladdin if he'd come forward? And C, he literally would have had command of a genie, so he shouldn't have needed to worry about those kind of small problems anyway. So I have to agree that, yeah, he just wanted to screw someone over for the sake of screwing him over. I want to see this movie now. I mean, when Genie first came out of the lamp, he seemed to be expecting a master more like Jafar than Aladdin. Would have been interesting to see Robin Williams playing an evil genie, who eventually gets turned good when Aladdin steals the lamp and befriends him. I could see that. Aladdin goes into the cave, and comes out with the lamp safely, because Apu didn't grab the diamond. Jafar's first 2 wishes are the same, and the third is that Genie can't grant anyone wishes again. Then he tosses the lamp aside, because it's garbage in his eyes. Aladdin finds it and befriends the genie. The genie still wields the powers Cosmos, in the goofy ways he did originally, but he can't do things that Aladdin asks. However, Aladdin befriends him regardless. This is the first time anyone has been sincerely kind to the genie. And he can't even be an asset the way he's used her. Jafar is busy ruling his kingdom, and predictably enough he's just making everyone poor and miserable. That doesn't affect Aladdin, because he was already poor, but he sees everyone else suffering. So he decides to stop Jafar. He meets the princess, who has escaped and is either a freedom fighter or a compassionate person using what's left of her influence to help others while fleeing Jafar. Eventually, they hatch a plan where the genie uses magic in a way that tricks Jafar into thinking his third wish was bypassed. He chases the heroes, and they go to the Cave of Wonders. Jafar grabs a knife to stab Aladdin, causing the cave to collapse, and the heroes flee. Jasmine's father steps down, giving his throne to her, and she takes Aladdin as her husband. The genie comes to realize that since he can't grant wishes, no one will try to be his master, essentially making him free. This is the type of live-action movies Disney should be doing. Nobody wants a shot-for-shot remake of an animated classic. We love the characters but want something new. Butterfly effect movies where one pivotal moment early on changes, such as Jafar helping Aladdin up and thus being the first to release the genie, would be incredible. Pretty much anything on the Hallmark Channel. Wait, let me explain. I am dying of a women's disease. I'm from the UK. Do they just show bottom-of-the-barrel rom-coms? It's the bit that end up on the floor of your cellar. They have like 3 plots they rehash 20 times a season. Hey, would you look at that? The wealthy businessman fails to ruin Christmas thanks to a band of plucky small business owners. Must be a Christmas miracle. Don't forget that the main small business owner ends up finding true love with the wealthy businessman. You can also reverse it with a mean businesswoman being taught the meaning of Christmas by a folksy blue-collar man. He drives a pristine, red, classic pickup truck. He does not know how to cook despite being a widower for 10 years now. He has 3 large golden retrievers who are his only friends. She will help him rediscover love through the magic of Christmas. Home Alone, yes, just forget about one of your kids. Home Alone 2, congratulations on learning from your mistakes and managing to get your kid to the airport this time, and he's gone. It's pretty clear Kevin was dead before the movie started. It's not like the family forgot him. They just wanted to get away from tradition to try to not be mourning over Christmas. Mom couldn't deal with the sorrow, so dragged the whole family back to be with Kevin's ghost. It explains the supernatural ability for Kevin to set up booby traps and how unconcerned the uncle is when it's revealed they forgot him in NY upon arriving in Paris. It also makes sense that the robbers are just embodied demons sent to collect Kevin, even so much as their trademark flooding water is often associated with the underworld in non-Christian religions. CPS, yeah, most people don't lose their kid once a year. We're gonna come over and see what's up. To be fair, they went to lengths to explain how he was forgotten so that it didn't rely on pure stupidity. Tons of people in the family making it a crowd, Kevin's plane ticket being lost in the trash, Kevin being sent to sleep up in the attic instead of among everyone else, the family waking up late so they have to rush to the airport as fast as possible. The girl doing the head count to make sure all the kids were accounted for unknowingly tapped their neighbor kid's head, resulting in a full count. Maybe more. It's been a while since I've seen it. Also, all the kids were in all-in couch while the parents were first class, which meant that they didn't notice Kevin being missing until they landed. They noticed in flight. Mom screamed, "Kevin," quote, "That seems irresponsible, going off to first class and leaving your kids behind in economy. How easy would it be to just lose them in the confusion when the plane lands and everyone's getting up to grab their luggage and disembark?" They even reference that several times in the movie. The mom says she feels bad about it, but the rest of the adults are like, "Nah, we deserve this." It is also interesting as the mom really seems to be the only one who cares about Kevin. None of the siblings or the dad seems to give a crap about Kevin. Hell, even the mom's major issue is more, "I'm a bad mother," than, "My son is missing. I made my family disappear. Kevin, you're such a disease. You're what the French call les incompetents. I am going to feed you to my tarantula. Look what you did, ya little jerk. I made my family disappear." No Country for Old Men. Never go back to the scene of the crime. Also, if you find a duffel bag full of cash and decide to keep it, check it for tracking devices. Take the cash. Leave the duffel bag. Now Llewellyn and Carla are living comfortably in an isolated Idaho ranch they paid cash for. Edit. I'm aware the tracker was in a wad of cash. In my version, Moss leaves that stack in the truck with the dead guy. Quit ruining my fantasy of the Mosses living happily ever after. Take the cash out and replace it with Canalys. As long as they're good Canalys, nobody will even be that mad. Sure, we're out a few million, but damned if those weren't the best desert duffel bag Canalys I've ever had. Emperor's New Groove. YZMA originally says that she could just turn him into a flea. Put that flea in a box. Put that box into another box. And eventually send it to herself so she could smash it with a hammer. Then she says to save on postage, she'll just use poison, which ends up not being poison. Even if she went with the original plan, he'd be a flea. And, for all intents and purposes, out of the picture pretty instantly. YZMA freaked herself trying to save like a quarter. YZMA freaked herself trying to save like a quarter. This is the Disney Plus description would make an amazing movie that much better. Or if Cuzco wasn't a fool and saw past YZMA. Or wasn't and butthole to everyone. Which helped push the whole, let's get rid of him, mentality. I feel like the job of Emperor is sort of like butthole to everyone. Cuzco was the Emperor, so he set postage rates, no? Saved his own life. Cuzco set high postage rates. Guess even the Incas tried to suppress mail-in voting. Yes, that was the only illogical part of that movie. For the record, not complaining. I love that film, but part of its zaniness comes from it being illogical. Like how YZMA and Kronk were able to get back before Cuzco and Pasha. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense. That's got nothing to do with, no, he's got a point. Thanks for watching LWIAR. The best of recent r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out LWIAR 2, and don't forget to like and subscribe.